Hello. Hello. I have my chat now. Cool. Let me just do something quickly as well. Oops, again, I did it again. Every stream. There we go. I have it pinned finally. What's up, Beats? Thank you. That's cute. Am I though? Am I though? Please me more. Okay, there we go. Let's start reading, shall we? Also, title is wrong. It's 126. I guess I fucked up the title again, you know? Look better than Unk. Have you seen Unk? Let me find the chapter quickly. We had the Triss fight last time. Divination isn't all powerful is the next chapter. Have you seen Ankh? For real though. 1 second guys, we're gonna get started in a second here. You on the mission saw him? Yeah. Ankh is not doing anything freaky. That's your headcanon. We love Ankh in this stream. Yay, a mod showed up. Let's go. We're gonna get started now. What does your voice is humble? Is it a compliment? Or a diss? I don't know. I wanna say it's a compliment though. By the way, Beats, where are you from? If I don't mind you asking. Okay, divination isn't all powerful. Your voice is nice and makes people feel good. People have said that before. Sis, you worry too much. No, you're just so meticulous. Klein was suddenly energized. He smiled and said, Alyssa, your concern is very reasonable. It's true that I'm actually a little hungry. Yeah, let me change and take a shower. So last time we left off is where Don Smith forgot to buy everyone dinner, so Klein came home hungry. Hello. North Korea, that's so cool. Hello, Monkey. Although his mouth was already watering, it was even more important to confirm instigator Triss's whereabouts. No one knew what insane. I mean, not a instigator anymore, now a witch. No one knew what insane measures that bastard will take in order to exact revenge on society. Okay, Melissa didn't lift her head, but continued her revision. Tap, tap, tap. Klein ran to the second floor and entered his bedroom. He locked the door, took off his jacket and underarm holster. Then he took out a simple silver knife from the drawer. After sealing his room with spirituality wall, so he's not even gonna arrest, man. Straight to divination. What's up, Lucius? Uh, After sealing his room with a spirituality wall, he took a breath, steadied his emotions, and walked 4 steps counterclockwise. After the usual incantation, Klein appeared once again in the lofty palace. Appeared once again in the lofty palace above the grey fog. He was getting used to the mad ravings that he had heard during the transportation process. What mad ravings, though? Can we get any info on that, Klein? Having completed a few rituals that day, he massaged his temples as he was slightly tired. He willed a piece of brown goatskin to appear on the long bronze table. Klein thought seriously, then wrote down the divination statement, Triss's whereabouts. He wasn't sure if the name was written correctly, but he could use the girl's appearance and other detailed information as a guide as well. The real Lucy? Yeah, true. He held the goatskin and leaned back into the chair. He recalled the things related to Trissy in his head, then recited... Sorry, my monitor just turned off. Recited the divination statement 7 times. Sometimes my monitor turns off like for a second, I don't know why. He emptied his mind, closed his eyes, and entered the dream state with the aid of cogitation. In the illusory scene amidst the fog, he saw a steam engine that spurted dense smoke and sparks. He also saw the rows of leather seats in a clean train carriage. Oh, this is what we saw at the end of episode 5 in the donghua. The gentle and sweet-looking Trissy, with her round face and long eyes, sat near a window. There was a checkered fishnet hat on the table before her. Wasn't Klein the one and Tan the one that that we're calling Trissy meat, right? I have a LG widescreen. There was a checkered fishnet hat, yeah. Klein made repeated attempts to confirm the train number, but he failed to discern it. Soon, he couldn't stand the pressure and left his dream. The long bronze table and the illusory crimson stars appeared before his eyes again. I could only confirm that Trissy took the steam locomotive and left Dingen. There weren't any more clues. It seems like this mysterious space only helps me eliminate indifferences, but it doesn't do much to enhance the standard of my divinations. Klein wrapped the edge of the table and thought about his next step. I mean, divination is not all powerful, right? This is literally the title of this chapter. Through divination, he could be entirely certain that the target had once been instigator Triss. The new Trissy, however, was already fleeing Dingen. Given the circumstances, he didn't think his new divination would help none. Klein quickly made his decision. Captain already said that he will send a telegram to Backland, Enmat Harbor, and other main stops along the railway. So they, Trissy, will be placed on the wanted list throughout the country. I won't report the divination result then, in case I will draw suspicion toward me. Klein quickly made up his mind because regardless of his warning, Dan was already using the most appropriate measures to follow up on the matter. Since he couldn't see the train number in the dream divination, using the spirit pendulum and other methods could equally ineffective, even if attempted to do so by process of elimination. It was just like the situation with the red chimney, yeah. At that moment he felt mentally drained, so he didn't stay above the grey fog any longer, but enveloped himself with his spirituality and stimulated the feeling of falling. When he returned to his room, his mind was filled with thought of tasty, glistening mutton. Nice. Mutton is really expensive in my country, by the way, so I have never eaten lamb or mutton. I don't know how it is up in your guys' countries, but we don't raise cattle, so the mutton we pay and import in is from New Zealand, and that's why it's so expensive, right? I must add some fennel. Praise the lady. Klein swallowed his saliva, swiftly removed the spirituality wall, and opened his door. What does mutton taste like, by the way? The next morning at 20 minutes to 9, he entered the Blackthorn Security Company with his cane in hand. Good morning, Klein. I have good news. Roseanne waved her hands excitedly from behind the reception desk, like, good morning, Klein, like this. Good morning. Klein eyes lit up and asked, what caught Trissy? Trissy? Who is she? The green-dressed Roseanne looked lost. Oh, Klein got his hopes up. You probably don't know her. What's the good news? Klein redirected the topic. Roseanne replied with a glowing smile. The captain's request has been approved. The police department is going to transfer 2 police staff members who have some across supernatural incidents to be clerks here. I finally don't need to frequently stay up all night. Praise the lady. That's why, by the way, Roseanne is napping sometimes. It's not because she's lazy or she's bored on the job. It's because she works really hard, right? That's great news, Klein echoed sincerely. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Roseanne, he went through the partition and went underground. He planned to continue with his mysticism lessons. When he passed the captain's office and the Nighthawk's recreation room, he bobbed his head and looked around. He saw that Don, Leonard, and the rest were still there. It meant that the search and elimination investigation the night before had failed to return anything worthwhile. The rest would be handed over to the police department so that they could take care of the tedious follow-up tasks. I have so much saliva in my mouth. I don't know why. At first, Klein wanted to chat with the captain to get update on the situation, but he saw the captain was busy typing telegrams. So he decided to... Oh! 3 Myanmar dollars. Now I know where you're from, Beats. Wait, is that Myanmar? I might be actually very ignorant here. Wait, we need to see what this... I need to know... Oh! Malaysian! Ah! I see. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. W? No message? Okay. 3 Malaysian dollars. Right? 3 Malaysian stones. Thank you so much. It's like 25 cents. Ah, I see. Now I know where you're from. You're not from North Korea. Anyway, thank you so much. He could ask the captain again at lunch. He went underground by following the stairs and saw the 2 classic gas lamps in their metal racks. Wait, what? No. At first, I wanted to chat with Captain to get an update on the situation, but he saw the captain was busy typing telegrams, so decided not to disturb him. He could ask the captain again at lunch. He went underground by following the stairs and saw the 2 classic gas lamps in their metal racks. He saw the ever-quiet corridor, which was lit up by the light behind the glass. He breathed. Wait, breathed or breath? 75? Ooh. Thank you. Breathed or breathed? I don't know, actually. He breathed in the cold but refreshing breeze, took a few steps and suddenly stopped. He suddenly looked towards the gas lamp and his eyebrows gradually creased. He made a crucial mistake, a mistake that could only be made by someone with knowledge from Earth. In his divination about the grey fog the night before, Klein had seen Trissy taking a steam locomotive, hence he subsequently believed that it was something happening at that moment. But this world had yet to invent electric light, so similar equipment. When the sky grew dark, there were almost no steam locomotives in operation that ferried... Oh, humans! Klein, who was accustomed to trains which operate at night, had instinctively missed out on that fact. In other words, it wasn't something that happened last night. It was a scene from the future. Holy shit, okay. Using Google credits I got from free. You can do that? Oh, interesting. I'm broke. I'm broke too, man. I was seen from the future. So, I mean, that's what Klein has to take into consideration from now on as well. Like, he can't rely on divination all the time. Also, it being from the future is also kind of useful, right? Also, what I want to say as well is, we saw this also in the donghua, where he can't fully rely on the divination. Anyway. Which meant that it was going to happen that day or the day after. Klein's heartstrings tightened when he paced back and forth, then he went upstairs again. So, when you see a vision from the future, can you take pre-actions to stop that vision from happening, or that vision happens no matter what, because you already saw it happening? Then he went upstairs again, he knocked and opened the door to the recreation room, and he saw that Leonard was reciting a poem by the window looking helpless. Ooh, Leonard looking helpless? Okay. Klein ignored Kenley, Royale and Sika, who were playing cards. He looked toward Leonard and said, I have a question for you. Would it be that you want to learn tricks to entertain the ladies? Leonard teased, putting down selected poems per SL. Oh, Leonard wants to learn if Klein is gay or not. He exited the recreation room and followed Klein halfway down the stairs that led underground. He then looked into Klein's eyes and said with a chuckle, "It seems like you did a successful divination last night." "How do you know?" Klein didn't explain further, but said straightforwardly, "I divined that Trissy will leave on a steam locomotive." After the conversation at the lurk house in the West Borough, he didn't mind appearing slightly special before Leonard. Steam locomotive. The earliest train at 7 in the morning. Leonard took out his pocket watch from his shirt and flipped open to take a glance. "No time to waste. I'll tell the captain that I covered a reliable tip." "I was sick the last few days." "I wasn't?" "Oh, you mean someone else? Nightwalker. Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought you were talking about me." "Really, Beats? And you gave that money to me? Wow, I feel special." He quickly went upstairs. Thank you, by the way. He quickly went upstairs and left the Blackthorn security company after waited downstairs for a few minutes. He returned and went into Don Smith's office. Klein heaved a sigh of relief and watched the captain send a telegram after gathering the other Nighthawks who were playing cards. Then they soon left out the door. Recalling what happened earlier, he felt conflicted. It was a different lesson than the one he received from the death of the Suda clown. He had committed a mistake with similar characteristics, which made him seem to understand this lesson more, leaving a deeper impression on him. Okay. Turning past the armory and entering the duty room, he took off his top hat and coat, then hung them into the clothes rack naturally. No, by the way, I noticed something. It no longer says half top hat, right? Used to say half top hat. Did Klein get a new top hat, which is now like even more taller? Old Neil had just finished making himself some ground coffee. He happily took a sip and asked, "Would you like one?" "Alright," Klein sat down and as carefree as if he had returned home. Unc Neil glanced at him and frowned, queeping. "What's queeping?" "Still 3 cubes of sugar with a spoon of milk? You're such a sweet tooth." You are such a sweet tooth? Oh, these are harmful for your teeth and your body." No, I only like it sweet when I'm drinking coffee. When I have grilled steak or roasted meat, I prefer rose salt, black pepper, fennel, and other condiments. Klein always believed that he was a fan of all flavors. You're in sick on Discord? Can you... Maybe it was an old post or something. You mean announcements or... You mean this one? This was in like 3 weeks ago. Also, join my Discord, guys. The link is pinned. The app rarely asks questions, so I only get a little bit of money. Oh, you gave all of it to me? Oh my god, you shouldn't do that. If you don't have any like free funds to give to YouTubers and stuff, you should... Oh, autism! Oh, yeah. I did went to get tested for autism. Yeah, you're right. I did go and get tested for autism. I'm gonna tell you about the results in December. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it was one day. I remember now. Beats is a good kid, yeah. No, you're not, Kin. Don't worry about it. I think, yeah, I went on Monday. But on Tuesday, I was already streaming on Twitch and stuff. Anyway. Klein has sigh. He quickly went upstairs and left the Blackthorn Security Company. After waited downstairs for a few minutes, he returned and went into Don Smith's office. Oh, wait. I'm actually reading very wrong place. Old Neil finished the coffee quickly. He pushed it over and said, "Do you want to take a break or start straight away?" "Let me settle down for a few minutes." The captain and the team got a tip about Trissy, and they are on the way to the steam locomotive station. "I wonder what the outcome will be," Klein sighed. Unc Neil clicked his tongue and said, "Is the tip detailed enough? Are they sure which train is it?" "No, it's not confirmed." So Klein is not saying it was from him. Klein said, pursing his lips. Unc Neil suddenly laughed. "Under such circumstances, the possibility of failure is much higher than success. Trissy shouldn't be secret and beyonder, and the beyonder at that level won't be captured so easily. Don't rely on divination. Divination isn't all-powerful. You only obtain symbolic signs, which are very easy to interpret them wrongly or ignore something." Oh, Unc Neil read Klein. Klein recalled the mistake that he made this time and felt melancholic. He nodded sincerely. Yeah, divination isn't all powerful. After he sat at his side, his mind, body, and soul entered a magical state. He leaned backward slightly, intending to let out a breath. Just then, he suddenly heard an illusory shattering noise in his ear. He felt something dissolving inside him, blending together with his spirit. Klein half closed his eyes and experienced a unique and indescribable feeling in silence. I wish I could donate more. You don't have to. Like, if you're broke, don't give me any money. Nightwalker, are you straight, by the way? Yeah. Alice. Nightwalker is also known as Alice, by the way. Let me little down for a few minutes. The captain and the... Oh my god, I should stop the chat. I'm so sorry. Divination isn't all powerful. After he sat at his side, his mind, body, and soul suddenly entered the magical state. He leaned backward slightly, intending to let out a breath, then just suddenly heard an illusory, shattering noise in his ear. He felt something dissolving inside him, blending together with his spirit. Oh, digestion! Klein half closed his eyes and experienced this unique and indescribable feeling in silence. Klein didn't need anyone to tell him that it was a result of complete digestion in the seal potion. Complete digestion! The first down that Tostok River passed by... No. We're going to a different place now. Okay. So Klein digested this potion fully in that scene. Okay. In donghua, it was more epic, I think. The first town that the Tosok River passed by after it flowed through Dingen City was called Vienna. Ooh, sounds like Vienna. Also the first stop from Tingen to Backland from the steam locomotive. On the platform, Trissy changed into a long beige dress and put on a woman's circular hat. Fine fishnet gauze hung down from the edge of her hat, covering half her face. Her appearance became blurry and indiscernible. She had already sent a telegram to her partner in Tingen. Oh, Sharon? Remind the other person to be careful. She told them that she had used money she burgled to buy a steam locomotive ticket to Backland. The reason Trissy didn't get on the train from Tingen but went downstream to Vienna was because she still had her instinct and rich experience as an assassin. Okay. Woo! The train let out a long and sharp whistle. Oh, like choo-choo! Definitely autistic, by the way. And the train let out a long and sharp whistle as the long metal behemoth shocked to a stop next to the platform while spurting smokes and sparks like chicka 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 chicka. Trissy didn't take any luggage and entered the first cabin. At the same time, she decided to get off the train after 3 stations and enter Backland through other methods. Nice arm hair? What the frick? Okay, Beats, you're a little bit interesting. Spell. In the basement of St. Selena's Cathedral, Klein closed his eyes and leaned backwards in his seat. He took in the complete digestion of the potion, and he faintly saw one illusory star after another. Those stars seemed to share a baffling connection with him, and they seemed to want to lump together and fuse as one. After the indescribable feeling of hunger and thirst receded, Klein returned to normal and stopped having any additional experiences. But my mind feels a lot more relaxed and pure. He opened his eyes and thought. At that moment, he knew that he had become a real, complete seer. Klein became a seer. Wow. In the donghua, I'm not gonna lie, in the donghua it was a lot more visual, a lot more epic, right? Which, you know, you can show that in animation, you can't really show that in a novel where you read, right? Now, the clown potion. We need a Hornatz's goat horn. Now it's actually 127, just like the title says. Earlier the title was wrong. Arm hair chair? What the fuck? Beats? Depends on your imagination. Yeah, true. But if it's more descriptive of it, then it's easier. You know what I mean? Anyway, laying the foundations. Yeah, girls do also have hair on their arm and stuff. Yeah. Or women, sorry. It feels weird saying girls. Anyway. Laying the foundations, the light of the cast lamp glowed through the glass, illuminating the card room. Uncle Neil finished flipping through the newspaper, took a sip of coffee, and looked at Klein. How do you feel now? Have you calmed down, or do you need a glass of wine, or advance on your salary, or a day off? Okay, Neil. Klein, who had completely digested the syrup potion, was attempting to change his switch to activate his spirit vision with cogitation. He didn't want it to be too obvious. The present him no longer needed to rely on physical motion to activate his spirit vision. Therefore, he could use a more concealed approach to achieve his goal. For example, stroking the joints of his middle finger with his thumb in quick succession. Oh, or clicking twice with his left molar. Interesting, okay. Klein considered the situation in which he needed to use his spirit vision while holding a revolver in one hand and again another hand. Finally settled on clicking his molar. His left molar would be used to activate the spirit vision and his right molar to deactivate it. What the hell is a molar? What is a molar? A grinding tooth at the back of mammal's mouth. Ah, isn't this obvious though? Like, crack. Hello, Heavenly. You're the best, by the way, I'm just saying. I love you. You're the back tooth? Left molar, so. Yeah. After repeatedly suggesting to himself, he completed the change. Then he opened his eyes and smiled. I was merely too concerned about the captain's operation. I don't need to calm myself down. At the same time, he clicked his left molar twice and attempted to activate his spirit vision. He wanted to familiarize himself with this method as quickly as possible. Wisdom tooth. Ah, I see. Olnir started coughing violently. He coughed till his face turned red like a cooked lobster. Oh no, he's choking on his coffee or something. What happened? Klein froze before asking in concern. He scanned Olnin's aura, seriously, only to notice that the colors representing his health were still normal, only a little dull to his age. Olnil coughed for nearly 20 seconds before earning respite. He felt for his cup of coffee and slowly took a sip. Everyone make... Sorry, wrong voice. Unc Neil, everyone makes mistakes. I joked on my drink just now. Shall we begin our mysticism lesson for the day? Alright, Klein silently clicked his right molars twice. Molars. Klein was elated, yet frustrated that he had completely digested the syrup potion a week or two ahead of his prediction. Oh my god, he did it faster than he thought, and he was frustrated, by the way. He was naturally glad that he was freed from the risk of losing control, and would at once soon, obtaining even more beyond their powers. That was something anyone would be happy and excited about. But he was also frustrated as it disrupted his plans and schedules. Damn, I'm just like him, dude. Considering the fact that he still had to stay with the Ding and Nighthawks for some time, Klein thought that secretly advancing to a clown wasn't the wisest choice. If he did so, he would be constantly worried about being exposed, and he would be unable to use his abilities when there were missions, making it even more dangerous for himself. He planned to learn from spirit medium Dali and submit an application to the higher-ups. He would use his contributions to obtain the recipe and extraordinary ingredients before officially advancing into Sequence 8 Nighthawk. But there was a difference between grasping a potion in a month and in a year. Klein could bear the scrutiny of the Holy Cathedral and become a talent for nurturing, but he didn't want the higher-ups to suspect him. He needed to find a convincing reason to explain his circumstances. He had planned to use this time before the syrup potion was completely digested to lay some foundations with the captain. For example, he would mention that he felt his spirituality become more active whenever he went to the divination club, or pretend to casually describe the laws of seer that he had to derive from helping other people divine their fortunes. He would also mention that he didn't hear any voices that he shouldn't be hearing, or see things that are not for his eyes. This with the higher-ups of the Nighthawks would think that he had unintentionally learned something from Tali when completing his mission and had done a more thorough job than her. This will make the higher-ups focus more on summarizing the laws and discovering the acting method, reducing suspicion placed on... They know about the acting method, it's just a secret. That way, I could even help the captain and the rest learn about the acting method, Klein added in his heart. He felt that Don Smith was a good captain. He had no glaring flaws other than his poor memory. Thus, he wanted to reduce the risk of Don losing control and make him more powerful. Damn. Of course, Klein could also choose. I mean, Klein, you're gonna regret saying that because it's gonna haunt you in your nightmares. Of course, Klein could also choose to apply after a year to avoid any risks, but continuous coincidences and the red chimney he saw in his dream determination gave him no choice but to improve his abilities as soon as possible. I laid the foundation with the captain 3 or 4 times over the next 2 weeks before formally submitting my request. At the same time, I can head over to the underground market to see if there are any necessary or extraordinary ingredients. It'll probably be very expensive. Klein quickly made a decision and focused his attention once again on the mysticism lessons. Time passed quickly as lunchtime slowly approached. Uncle Neil finished his coffee and cleared the stuff on the table as he laughed. Your mysticism lessons will come to an end soon. From the desk just now, it will seem that you can create charms for yourself now. That's my plan for the next few days, Klein heaved a satisfied sigh. Charms were different from the protective amulets he had given Penson and Melissa. They had to be carved with the help of ritualistic magic, and they had certain unique abilities that could be used in battle. But a low-grade charm couldn't do everything. The spirituality it contained would decrease over time and had to be renewed once every 2 weeks. Also, you needed to activate them with specific incantations. It was impossible to use them at will. Furthermore, the charms wielded by the Nighthawks were still limited to the domains of the Nevernight goddess. Klein could only make 3 different kinds of charms for the time being. The first was a slumber charm, and its effect was similar to Don Smith and Leonard Mitchell's ability to put someone to sleep with their singing. The second was the Requiem charm, which was able to soothe ghosts, souls, zombies, and the like. It could also deal with a vengeful and evil spirit to a certain extent. The last was a dream charm. Its abilities allowed the wielder to enter the dream of someone else. Ooh, interesting. These abilities were similar to abilities of Midnight Poet and Nightmare from the Sleepless sequence, so Don and Leonard had no use for these charms. Corpse Collector Fry, Sleepless Royale, and Kenley would bring 1 or 2 along with them, but they hadn't needed them in a long time. They frequently brought their charms back to old Neil so he could recharge them. Unc Neil glanced at Klein and smiled. I remember you saying that you practiced a lot this month and have run out of materials. Are you going to the underground market? Klein was taken aback first before he nodded and paint heart. Yes, he clearly knew that prices of ingredients he could only he clearly knew the price of ingredients. He could only hope that he succeeded in making them charms on his first try instead of wasting materials. After being presented with the mission of bringing lunch underground, Klein put on his jacket and hat before returning to Blackthorn Security Company on the second floor, with cane in hand. As he walked past the recreation room, he saw Leonard and the rest had already returned and were enjoying their lunches. He knocked on the captain's door. Please come in. Don's mellow voice sounded. Klein pushed the door open and took off his hat. Captain, did you catch Instigator Trissy? Don rubbed his temples and shook his head in exhaustion. We didn't find her at Tingen Station, but according to the telegraph we received from background, the passenger saw her in the first-class carriage of the earliest train. Regrettably, she got off on the middle of the journey. Oh, in Vienna? A regrettable sign. Klein sighed, even though he had expected this. Divination isn't all powerful. Don's grey eyes swept past him. There's no need to be depressed. It isn't easy to capture a Sequence 7 beyonder. At the very least, we disrupted Chris's evil ritual and saved at least 40 innocent lives. Furthermore, we understand her situation now. She can no longer commit crimes as she wishes. If she tried to do similar, she will notice, discovered, and reported at any time. Sooner or later, she'll be captured by the Nighthawks, Mandate Punishers, or the Machinery High Mind. It's even possible that she'll be killed. Let's hope that it's the case. May the goddess bless us. Klein threw the crimson moon on his chest. Following that, he paused and pondered over his words. Captain, I haven't heard unwanted voices or seen unwanted vision for over a week now. Also, that's true even when I am in cogitation or using my spirit vision. Really? Don Crease's brows puzzled. I immediately elaborated. I feel that I'm not far off from achieving full control over the Seer Potion. This could be due to my frequent visits to the Divination Club and helping others tell their fortune. Why do you think so? Don immediately changed his seating posture, his expression lost. Klein added a stammer into his sentence. Every time I head to the divination club, I can feel... Klein is acting, by the way. Klein is actually... Give him an Oscar. He added a stammer on purpose. Nightwalker. Nightwalker. Bond is the goat. Would you believe me if I told you that these two actually like each other? Yo, Masters, how are you? Anyway. So, yeah, he's putting on an Oscar performance here. Every time I heard the divination club, I can feel my spirituality become more active, and every time I help someone divine something, my heart, body, and soul become more relaxed. I've also come out with a set of rules for us here. I've been following it strictly, just like how a mystery briar, do as you wish but do no harm. I found inspiration from this maxim and tried coming up with a maxim designed for seers. I think that this might be an effective way to help beyonders gain control over their potions faster and reduce the risk of losing control. So just like Madame Ta'ali, who has always been a spirit medium. It was unknown when Tan had taken out his pipe. He placed it at his nose and took out a whiff, seemingly forgetting about Klein as he thought for a few minutes. A remarkable guess, an interesting trial. Klein had only wanted to briefly mention it this time around to set up an underlying reason. Klein had only wanted to briefly mention it with this time around to set up an underlying reason, but did not say anything further. He switched to a half-joking tone and said, "Heh, perhaps I'll be the fastest Nighthawk in history to gain control of Secret Sign Potion. May the goddess watch over you." Tan blessed him, not taking him seriously. He then slipped into deep thought once again. Witnessing this, Klein turned around and said his goodbyes before leaving the captain's office. He was closing the door to the room when he suddenly thought of another difficult question. How in the world was he going to act as a clown? Must they join a circus? There are no fixed... I'm sad, actually. I shouldn't have laughed, man, because I know what's going to happen. Must they join a circus? There are no fixed circuses in Tingen. They're all roaming ones. Klein's expression became a little bitter. Being a seer was still a rather respectable occupation. Klein wouldn't still be able to hold his hand up high even if he was spotted by someone he knew. But if he became a clown, there was no way his reputation would hold. Perhaps there are other ways of acting as a clown. There were no circuses or clowns.
Hope you enjoying this great novel.
Thank
a small
you.
token.
Thank you. Thank you for the 50 stones, Enner. I am enjoying the novel. Nice. Thank you. I don't know what that currency is, so I'm gonna look it up. But these are 50... I'm guessing Philippines? What's P? Philippines! Oh! I guessed correctly. Thank you. 50 peso. Ooh, you got... In the Filipino, they call the currency pesos. Ooh, like Latin America. That's cool. Thank you, Enner. I am. Thank you so much. Wow. I am catching up slowly to volume 2, by the way. And like, I'm actually like a little kid when I think of, like, I'm like looking forward to it. And I'm actually have butterflies when I think about reading volume 2. So I'm so excited, like a little kid on Christmas, you know? May the gods watch over you. Yeah. Perhaps there are other ways of acting as a clown. There were no circuses or clowns when the blasphemy slate was revealed to the world. Oh, interesting. Forget it, I won't have the chance to at once for another 2 or 3 weeks, so there's no need to deliberate over this for now. Klein avoided the question and headed up to the reception area. He walked toward Roseanne, Mrs. Oriana, and Brett to wedge his and old Neil's lunch. W-Enner, yeah, exactly. So, let's see. I'm curious. Clown definition. I wanna see the older name for clown. A comic entertainer, especially one in circus. Okay. An unsophisticated country person, a rustic. So maybe he has to act as a country bumpkin. You know what I mean? Behave in a comical or playful way. Yeah. Clown etymology. Because the blasphemy slate thing is actually really interesting to me, right? From North Germanic source, clunni, meaning clumsy, fellow, or lout. Maybe act clumsy? Alternative but less likely theory success it could come from the Latin colonus, farmer. Huh. Interesting. So Clown, you know, I think Klein actually put a very good idea out there that how would it be done. Oh, I had the wrong chapter written. Now it's 128. I'm sorry, guys. That there was no clown when it was written, so yeah. Anyway, chapter 128. The impoverished fool. Impoverished. Wait, what does impoverished mean? I'm sorry for being dumb as fuck. Our person made poor.
Impoverished.
Impoverished. Okay. Gotcha. Brokey? Okay, the brokey fool. After eating lunch, Klein only rested for half an hour. Oh, it is probably because of the ingredients he needs, right? What's up, Shaniete? Shanite. Sorry, I'm butchering your name, right? He rested for half an hour before he rushed to the shooting club to practice with his revolver. He didn't dare to relax, not one bit. After practicing his shooting skills day after day, he expending more than 1,000 bullets. Damn, okay. He was finally shooting well enough to earn Dunsmith's basic approval. He was pretty good at fixed target shooting. After practicing for a while, he put away his revolver and then took the public carriage to a stop close to the house of his combat teacher, Gawain. Then he walked for 10 minutes before arriving at the door. He changed into his night training suit that he had been left to dry in the sun. After running, skipping rope, lifting weights, squatting and other exercises, not to mention footwork and punching training, he was covered in sweat and felt exhausted. Take a break for 15 minutes. Gawain's blonde white hair and deep facial lines made him look hard and stern. He took out his pocket watch and flipped it open to glance at the time. Since they first began training, he had ultimately maintained his silence. He only spoke to Klein where there was a need to switch training methods or to correct one of Klein's mistakes whenever one arose. Klein panted for air, but he didn't dare to rest straight away. He paced back and forth slowly. The most direct feedback of his combat training was that he was much tanner. His skin had turned bronze under the sun. Okay, outside, right? It's pronounced Kanye? No, it's not. Wait, the 2 times speed, Lucy. Gawain put away his pocket watch and stood next to the crude training field behind his house. He crossed his arms as he watched Klein cool down. He was as quiet as marble statue. Teacher, besides fighting with fists, would you teach me how to use straight sword, broadsword, rapier, and a spear? Klein asked proactively. He was in a good mood as he just digested the syrup potion. He had seen weapons like that straight sword and rapier in Gawain's collection room before. There was also chest armor and full body armor. He knew that Gawain wasn't only good at fighting hand to hand. Gawain is like those old school people who used to fight in armor. Bathed in sunlight, Gawain swept his gaze at Klein. He lowered his voice and replied, It's useless. It's useless for you to learn any of those. Those weapons have all fallen behind the times, and their only places museums or private collections of collectors. He fell silent for a few seconds before adding with a voice that had experienced the vicissitudes of life. They have been eliminated. You should focus on guns. Even combat is merely supplementary. Klein looked at his listless teacher and chuckled as he spoke. I don't think so. Every minister, every member of parliament, and every general, and every one of them thinks so, Gawain said, clenching his teeth. Klein stopped and acted like he was a true keyboard warrior. He responded with ease and fluency. No. They have merely retreated from the front lines of the battlefield. They still have their uses elsewhere. Like maybe sport or Olympics. Why does combat have to be used against firearms? They could be used together. I believe a person who is more flexible, swifter in action, and quicker in response could use guns in a more effective manner. When he saw Gawain's eyes suddenly sharpen, Klein turned smug and continued. Other weapons aren't eliminated either. They only need some enchantment to be more portable. We could form a squad with high maneuverability, a group that is designed to circle the front lines and launch an attack from behind the enemy and fight right to their core. In such small-scale surprise attack, a warrior who has outstanding hand-to-hand abilities and familiarity with various kinds of weapons could play an important role. You can imagine such a scene. This reminds me of in the First World War, the Ottomans were using like a horse. They had a gun and they also had like a saber, right? It reminds me of that. I really like the training guy. Yeah, they got him off in the donghua. They got a lot of characters from the donghua. You know, Billy, some people think you aren't straight is funny. Yeah, why do they think I'm not straight? Do I sound zesty? I mean, I'm not straight, so they're right. Happy birthday, Monkey Daku. Happy birthday, man. My birthday is in, okay, I'm not made about myself, but my birthday is at the end of the month. Happy birthday, man. Yun Lu, probably. Yeah. Wait, I'm not at that episode on YouTube yet. Damn bits, I see. I'm gonna make a Billy account this weekend, by the way, and I'll make an introduction video in Chinese. I think. But like I'm gonna be really like embarrassed. Anyway. We could form a squad, yeah. Klein gave a full play to his ability of knowing a bit of everything. He mixed and matched all the combat tactics the Special Force on Earth had and described them to his teacher. He wasn't sure when Gawain's breathing became heavier. He stood there without moving an inch, seemingly unwilling to break the scenes he imagined. Klein stole a glance at the man's reaction. He felt smug in his head and cleared his throat and said in a restrained manner, "Teacher, what do you think about my plan? Is there any possibility of realizing it?" Gawain's body quivered as though he's just awoken from a dream. He looked deeply into Klein's eyes and said, "Your break is doing you well. Repeat the whole set of exercises 10 times. Yeah, like Bing chilling, right? I can help you with that? Thank you. Klein looked lost. Very soon he started running and snapped back to reality. He roared in his heart, then said, "Teacher, no." What the fuck?
Good night, guys. Enjoy.
Oh.
Going back to work.
Going back to your work at night times? Thank you for the 50 pesos again, by the way. Thank you so much. Damn, night shift sucks, by the way. I used to stack in grocery stores. I used to stack shelves, sometimes at night. And I slept through the entire day. I slept like 10 hours. So if you work at nights, I'm sorry. It's so horrible. But good luck at work, dude. Thank you for the 50 stones. Thank you so much. So Gawain basically snapped out of it, right? I guess Gawain maybe want to open up a little bit. You love night shifts? Really? Klein looked lost. Very soon he started running and snapped back to reality. He roared in his heart. Then said, "Teacher, no. I don't want to celebrate my complete digestion of the sea potion like this." Hey, didn't you gain any inspiration at all? He did, but he snapped out of it, right? Looking at Klein running toward the other side of the training field, Gawain suddenly uncrossed his arms and covered his face with one hand. He closed his eyes tightly and the wrinkles on his face were deep and obvious. Aww. Like, I think Gawain is a sweetheart. I just can't prove it, right? I think what Klein said to Gawain put more hope in Gawain's eyes and his soul about, you know, swords and how he used them. But he just can't show it, you know? He's being a little bit of a tsundere, maybe. After nearly puking from exhaustion, Klein took a shower, changed his clothes, and bade a silent Gawain farewell. He took the public carriage and left. He didn't return home directly, but headed to Evil Dragon Bar near the harbor. He planned to inquire about the price of beyonder ingredients and buy items for making charms. On the way, Klein kept his mind on his tiny stash that he was carrying with him. He forced himself to stay alert and reached his destination with great difficulty. I had to save £4 for the remaining palance that I owe the detective company. I can only use £3 and 5 solid tonight. He dodged the paper. notes in his pocket before grabbing his cane and aligning the carriage. At that moment, the sun had already begun slipping below the horizon. All the houses were gradually tainted with twilight luster. The boxing matches and rat baiting with dogs were already warming up in Evil Dragon Bar. After passing through the billiard room and numerous rooms, Klein finally entered the underground market. He looked to the left and right, but he didn't see Monster Admisol was always active around here. Ooh, where is Admisol? Didn't Unc Neil say that Admisol only managed to survive because the boss of Evil Dragon Bar feeds him? Klein asked himself curiously. As a Nighthawk, he remained vigilant to matters like that. He approached the brawny man guarding the door and asked, "Where is Admisol?" The brawny man replied with a smile, "I have no idea where he's sleeping. He's been like that lately. He lies down and shivers and chants, 'Dead, dead, all corpses, everyone has to die.'" Ooh, ooh. Okay, Beats. Yeah. What scene did you see this time? What triggered him? Klein, it's like the Notebook. Everyone dies, including me, right? Klein increased his eyebrows slightly and asked for more details. He wanted to know whether Admisol was sleeping, but the guard didn't know either. When I'm done, I look for him via divination to see what he's been through. After taking note of this, Klein walked towards one of the two rooms at the end of the trading market. According to Unc Neil, the room on the left was loans and repayment, while the room on the right was for the buying and selling of precious items, including beyond their ingredients. When he opened the door and entered the room on the right, Klein realized that there was a partition that separated into two spaces. Inside and outside, there were another 3 customers waiting on the outside. He lowered his silk top hat and queued behind the 3 customers. He leaned his body forward and supported himself with a cane as he waited in silence. Soon the door of the partition opened and the customer in a bluish-grey harbor worker uniform came out. He kept his head low and left in a hurry. Klein lightly clicked his left molar twice and looked at the man with spirit vision. He then looked at the other 3 customers. There was nothing wrong with them, other than the usual minor illnesses that people had. After another 10+ minutes, it was finally his turn. He opened the door and entered the room. There was a lit kerosene lamp. He locked the door and took the seat that belonged to the customer. He looked towards the old man wearing a black felt hat opposite of him. "I'd like to know what beyond the ingredients you have and what prices they are being sold." The cheek muscles on the elder were droopy and the wrinkles in the corner of his eyes were deep, but his body was well built. He didn't find Klein's request weird because many customers weren't willing to let another person know that they wanted to buy before they confirmed that the seller had it available. Generally, they wished to be introduced to all options. The old man flipped to the newest pages of the notebook, stole a glance at Klein, and took a sip of his honey wine before he said, "Watercourse, brain tissue, costs from 3 to 15 pounds, depending on how intact it is. Star crystal, 150 pounds per 50 grams. 200 pounds for 1 queen bee grass. 170 pounds for 1 adult black spotted frog. 280 pounds for human faced rose, but there's only one. Jesus Christ, dude. RMGI is record of mortal journey to immortality. A lot of Chinese people watch it on Bilibili. And basically, I think, yeah. Try and control this emotional response after he listened to the old man's introduction. The fool is a brokey, by the way. He was surprised that underground trading place like this had fewer than 30 beyond their ingredients. As he touched the notes worth 7 pounds in his pocket and thought of Miss Justice's attitude towards 1,000 pounds his side. Unfortunately, there is nothing I want. Without waiting for the elder to pose any further questions, he quickly turned around to open the door and made an exit. He returned to the underground market and looked around blankly. He stood there for a while and sighed with a bitter smile. "I'm probably the poorest boss among all the secret organizations that only steal his resolve of getting ingredients internally from the Nighthawks or through exchanges with Justice and Hanged Man." Can you please stop speaking like fake Chinese in the chat, by the way? Yeah, I eat a lot of like fruits and stuff like that, so I have a lot of like fruit flies. Sometimes they make their way here. Maybe like 5 or 6 of them in my kitchen. After circling the underground market twice, Klein picked and purchased ingredients to make charms, such as partially finished silver piece, herbal powders, and needed for rituals, natural ores. He spent 1 pound and 15 soli. My private stash of money only has 5 pounds 10 soli left, excluding the final payment to the detective. I still have 1 pound 10 soli. After Klein silently did the math regarding his financial situation, he felt helpless. Eating oranges, nice. I love kiwis and I love bananas. Kiwi, banana, mandarin, other stuff as well, right? Of course, he knew very well that he had only been working for just over a month. If the time span had been extended up to a year, he should have been able to save up more than £100. Under 2 weeks, I'll have to tell Benson and Melissa that I got a raise to £3. We can hire a maidservant, but I won't have a private stash of money anymore, Klein thought as he walked toward the exit of the underground market. Just then he saw Unc Neil in his classic black robe entering slowly. Got everything? Got everything? O'Neill greeted with a chuckle. Yes, Klein answered frankly. Unc Neil asked immediately. You came really early. That's because I'm still hungry, but you already had your dinner, Klein chatted casually with Unc Neil. After a while, the boss of Evil Dragon Bar, Swain, walked in with his Navy officer uniform strapped over him. He approached the two of them and with a mask of solemnity and lowered his voice. I need your help. What happened? What happened? Unc Neil suddenly turned serious and Klein couldn't help but feel a tug in his heart. Is it about Unmissal? Tug in his heartstrings. Swain's brown hair was messy, and there was a strong smell of alcohol in his breath. He replied in a low voice, a member from under the Punishers had lost control nearby. You have to finish him before he arms any commoners. Havre or what? Holy, okay. Havre's story, if that actually is Havre, then it was completely changed in a donghua, right? Mandarin is also a fruit, right? Rampager. Interesting, let's go. Lost control, Kleinhardt tightened as he nearly blurted out his question. Even though Dan and O'Neill had frequently emphasized the possibilities of losing control and the harm it caused, it was the first time he was experiencing an incident like that. He felt a little horrified, a little lost, a little scared, and a little saddened. He felt extremely mixed emotions. Among the cases that we have to deal with annually, a quarter of them were a result of Beyonders lost control, and among the quarter of cases, a large number of them are our teammates. Oh, Dan words flashed past Klein's mind, slowing his reaction. Unc Neil, who had experienced many incidents like this, immediately asked, Where is the Rampager? What do you need us to do? Klein was taken aback from hearing this. He had believed that the sleazy, half-retired personnel like Unc Neil would find an excuse to reject Swain's request or extort a huge sum in exchange for his help. Never did Klein expect Unc Neil to participate without any hesitation, not minding the difference between Nighthawks and mandated Punishers. Klein suddenly understood something. I think Swain Swain is basically a Havre in the donghua. We never saw Swain. Someone said in chat, I'm pretty sure. Klein suddenly understood something when he looked out at the serious O'Neill. It didn't matter if they were Nighthawks, mandated Punishers, or Machinery High Mind. Their aim was to stop supernatural powers from harming the innocent and maintain peace and stability in Tingen. If they were met with dangers in the urgent situation, their sense of duty would propel them to help without hesitation. Swain answered succinctly, Be my support. He didn't explain why the person who lost control or where the Rampager was. Instead, he made his way to the exit quickly. This ex-captain of the mandated Punishers was clearly an old alcoholic. Aww. But Klein realized that he could not keep up with the man's pace. He needed to break into a jog to ensure that he was not left behind. So Swain is a... Hello, Merlin. How are you? Swain didn't lose control, yeah. Old alcoholic, man. He turned his head to look on O'Neill, only the old mystery prior break into a run. Three of them didn't pay any attention to the cases of the guards or their way there. On their way there, one of them had old navy uniform wrapped over him. Another was in dark classic robe. Another in black trench coat. They charged out the billiard room and into Evil Dragon Bar. The customers who were drinking shifted their gaze into the rat baiting competition to Klein and company. Is that Boss Swain? Where is he going in such a hurry? Did someone default on their loan? Amidst the soft murmurs, some of the customers focused their attention back to the cage. They once again broke into uproar, venting the stresses of their day. However, some of the more perceptive customers felt a faint sense of unease. I see Clowish Pigeon. Tap, tap, tap. Klein, Old Neil and Swain ran across the road and entered the harbor district. On that boat, Swain slowed down and pointed at the cargo ship not far away. Two Amanda Punishers are circling the Rampager, preventing him from entering the Tussock River. Help me, influence him and bring him under control. Leave the rest to me. Old Neil panted for air and said, Alright, but you have to give me a minute. Minute to recover. Swain nodded and didn't say anything more. He charged up to the ship and joined the fight. Okay, battle music. Upon hearing the sounds of combat on the ship, old Unc Neil looked at the somewhat nervous Klein. He took out a piece of silver about the size of baby's palm from a hidden pocket near his waist. He then passed the silver to Klein and said, Slumber Charm. Slumber Charm, the incantation to activate this amulet is phrased every night in ancient Hermes. After you finish the incantation, inject your spirituality into the charm, and then throw it at the target after 3 seconds. Alright, Klein extended his hand to receive a charm and felt moved. The charm was carved with the Hermes incantations on both sides, as well as the corresponding symbols, path numbers, and the spell characteristics. He didn't need to activate his spirit vision to feel deep, serene power flowing within the charm. Unc Neil stood up straight and took a similar charm from his hidden pocket and held it in his palm. He choked as he walked toward the cargo ship. Don't be too nervous. Don't be too nervous. Relax and think about something else. For example, I lent you that charm. If you're going to use it, remember to make one for me in return. Of course, you can wait till next month when you receive a new quota of materials to do so. This is really experienced, Unc Neil. Klein placed the charm into his left pocket, reached into his holster, took out his revolver, and adjusted the hammer and drum. I don't feel nervous anymore. He had a gun in one hand and his cane in the other. He made his way up to the steps with Unc Neil and boarded the cargo ship. This cargo ship had obvious signs of age. Although it was powered by steam, had a chimney, it retained its past fixtures such as mast and sails. Furthermore, only its surface and some other portions were plated with metal, and remaining sections of the ship were still made of wood. As the sounds of the battle intensified, Klein and Unc Neil suddenly heard a loud noise amid the din while searching for a way to enter the cabin. The wooden cabin was instantly shattered, its fragments flying everywhere. A figure fell through the hole and crashed onto the side of the ship. Klein didn't have any luxury of time to evaluate the man's injuries. His gaze was focused on the monster who was charging towards the hole. The monster was over 1.8 meters in height and was wearing a tattered shirt and trousers, his ankles covered with dark green scales, and a layer of skin formed between his fingers and toes as if it were a webbed limbs of an aquatic creature. Ooh, true, actually, I remember. It had a head covered in wrinkles, still barely resembling a human. Its scales were coated with a sticky fluid, continuously dripped onto the floor. The sizzle. The sticky dark green liquid corroded the deck slightly, leaving visible marks behind. Bam! Swain punched the monster from the side, causing it to stagger 2 steps to the side. Oh my god, Swain is throwing hands, holy shit! Bam, 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 and with a ridiculous muscle, Swain had clearly inferior to the monster. Despite having his punches and kicks connect, they weren't unable to smash through its scales. This music was ass. So Swain was like, boom, 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 but the monster was just tanking all of it, right? Despite having his punches and kicks connect, they were unable to smash through its scales and cause physical harm. Swain was momentarily reduced to a wretched state as he staggered. If not for Swain's astounding sense of balance and the efforts to the other mandated punishers to shoot and suppress the monster, Klein suspected that his blue-eyed elder would have been beaten to death by the monster. Thud, thud, thud. Swain took multiple steps back, then at once again, like a moth to a flame. But Klein couldn't sense that he was accumulating something, waiting for something. BAM! Swain was sent to retreat, his body obscuring another mandated punisher's field of vision. The monster took his chance to charge towards the opening. It wanted to escape the ship and jumped into the Dosok River. Looking at the wrinkled, sticky head of the monster, Klein lifted his right hand and pulled trigger. Bang! Silver demon hunting bullet hit the monster's body just as he predicted, but it had only hit the scales and failed to fully penetrate the body. The monster let out an ear-piercing shriek like before it exerted strength with its feet and bounced at Klein. When a stinking fishy smell hit him, Klein suddenly hunched down and rolled to the side. Clang! He felt the ship shake as fragments had hit it as well. At the same time, he heard an old but deep voice recite an incantation in ancient Hermes, Evernight. Evernight. Klein rolled over 2 times. He couldn't care about his gain as he lifted his head and rolled in a fluster. All he saw was Neil tossing out his charm calmly, despite being incredibly close to the monster. Oh my god, let's go, Neil. Holy! This piece of silver was initially swallowed by a dark red flame and released a faint sound of explosion. A deep serene power spread forth. The monster, who had almost destroyed the side of the ship, rocked its movements before becoming sluggish. Swain charged out from the cabin. He approached the creature and pulled back his arm. Boom! Hitting the monster like a jackhammer. His punches connected with his head to the monster, but he could barely inflict a wound that didn't cause any fatal damage. But Klein could sense that whatever the blue-eyed elder was accumulating had finally reached its peak. Boom! The monster seemed to recover. It flayed his arms and made Swain take 5 steps back in retreat. Each of his steps caused cracks to form on the deck. Whew! Seeing that the monster was about to turn around and jump off the cargo ship, Klein took out the slumber charm from his pocket in a hurry, after which he expectedly recited the phrase in ancient Hermes, Evernight. Suddenly Klein felt the silver charm in his hand turn ice cold, as if it was made from snow. Ooh, interesting. He didn't think too much about it. He injected his speciality into the charm, then pulled his arm back before throwing forward, sending the charm flying towards the monster. Meanwhile, the Murloc mentioned, holy shit! Murloc mentioned. Meanwhile, the Murloc-like monster had jumped into the air. The dark red flames illuminated the surrounding darkness, and the faint explosion was like a prelude to a slumber as it quickly radiated outwards. Bam! The monster fell on the dock, skirming into a ball. It was temporarily in half-asleep state. Klein was just about to rush to the side of the boat and shoot at the monster's head when he suddenly saw Swain charge out and jump over, his navy uniform already long gone. He changed his posture in the air, his muscles tightening. Swain is insane! Murloc because of World of Warcraft. That's why. I thought it was a World of Warcraft reference. Swain is insane, dude. He changed his posture and the air, his muscles tightening. Using his spiritual reception, Klein could feel something that had been suppressed erupt. Swain descended from the sky and slammed to the ground, to the body of the monster. He then straightened his back and landed a heavy fist on the head. Bro just wrestled! Wrestled only in WoW. Damn, okay. Wow. That's cool. Also, holy shit, dude. Fucking Swain is wrestling in here. This was Swain and the monster. Right here. Boom! Wait. Look, Swain and the monster. Look. Boom! This is how I'm imagining in my head, dude. Oh my god. Using his spirituality perception, Klein could feel something that had been suppressed erupt. Swain descended from the sky and slammed into the body of the monster. He then straightened his back and landed a heavy fist on the head of the monster. Holy shit. Crack, the monster's skull shattered into pieces. Dark red blood and grayish brain matter, ew, laced with the green sticky liquid splattered all over the ground. Dude, I want to see Swain wrestle in the fucking donghua. Like, what the hell? This is one of the abilities of Volk of Rage, Klein muttered to himself as he stood near the broken side of the ship. Unc Neil held his left arm and leaned over to look at what happened below. At that moment, Swain was standing straight at the monster under his feet that just lost his life. He took a metal flask and opened the lid. He drank a good half of the liquor before tilting the flask, pouring the remaining liquor onto the monster. After finishing this, Swain looked like he had aged considerably, his back hunching a little. All Neil sighed as he looked at the scene below. He whispered to Klein. I know this man, the Punisher, who lost control. He had followed Swain for almost 30 years. Once clearing back other coast who had been killing people in the shore. He was also captured evil beyonders who were trying to escape through the Dosok River. He didn't continue, but Klein understood that he wanted to say a guard who had made many contributions and killed countless monsters ended up becoming a monster himself. Damn. Wow. Donghua fight was made. It was Instead, we got Leonard using some vine powers from his Yeah. He continued, but Klein understood he wanted to say a god who had made many contributions and killed countless monsters ended up becoming a monster himself. This was not an isolated incident. It was a possible outcome that many members of the Nighthawks, Man-the Punishers, or Mashivani High Mind will one day face. Note. Hi. I included the author's notes before the book went, okay? Where's the author notes then? Oh, these are like a big long ass author notes. Should we read the author notes? Should we read the author notes, guys? Posted something on Discord, something special. Nice gift, by the way. Holy shit. Oh my god. Nice gift. GIF. We should make this into a, what's it called? Tenor. Someone upload it to Tenor, please. So when you search Undo, we have this. Can someone please do that? Please? That'll be so funny. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go, man. Thank you, Bids. Someone should. Come on, XS fan sketcher, do it. No author notes? Okay. That fight was insane. 130. Backland! Oh! Force! Thank you, Bids, by the way. That's so cool. Okay, let me just... Someone upload this to Tenors. So when we search Undo in GIFs, this will pop out. Pray. We'll read at the end of volume 1. For the next chapter, 130. Okay, exciting chapter apparently. Okay. Let's summon Lucy Rem. Backland's secret gathering. Klein looked at Swain standing before the monster corpse before looking sideways towards the man the Punisher who was helping his semi-conscious partner up by the arm. Klein suddenly felt an indescribable sadness. It was almost impossible for members of Nighthawks, Mandate Punishers, and the Machinery High Mind to be known as heroes. The thing they did were made known to the public, but only hidden in the confidential dockets. But the danger and pain they endured were ever so real. Perhaps there will be a day when my enemy will be one of my teammates. Oh, Klein sighed silently. He felt the heavy weight that all Nighthawks, Mandate Punishers, and the Machinery High Mind carried. At that moment, old Neil let out a sigh. Let's go. Let's not disturb them. Okay, Klein picked up his cane. Just as he widened his stride, his eyes noticed that old Neil was still holding his left hand. He asked, concerned, "Are you hurt?" Old Neil chuckled briefly before saying, "I got stabbed by one of the sharpener earlier." Yeah, I was still young. I was definitely would have been able to dodge it. Luckily, it's just a small cut. But everyone I know like Force, something is wrong with you. I love Force. Is it X? Oh my god. XS fan is just a rage baiter, by the way. He's trying so hard to be like Heavenly Enjoy, but he fails every single time. Just saying. He moved his right hand slightly to Klein to see a tiny wound that was still lightly bleeding from the back of his left hand. After he continued, it was a big issue. It wasn't a big issue. Klein walked off along the gangway as he sighed. Gangway? Oh, like gangplank. I see. Mr. Neil, you're much calmer than I imagined. Despite being less than 2 meters away from the monster, you could still chant the incantation calmly and use the charm. Although rampaging Mandate Punisher had leaped forwards, Klein in the form of a monster, old Neil was physically very close to him the entire time. Old Neil chuckled at the compliment. I'm an experienced Nighthawk. Among the dangerous things that I've done, what happened just now isn't even my top 10. Once when I was patrolling Raphael Cemetery with Dunn, I had no idea that corpse had turned into a zombie and left its tomb to lie in ambush in shadows of the trees. I passed by without noticing it at all, since I was looking for some hidden spot. Heh, you know what I mean. In the end, he leaped into my back and seized my throat. Damn. Klein felt gripped by the terror when he heard the recollection as he voiced out his guess. In such a situation, you were still calm enough to use a charm, or did you use some spell that Mystery Player could cast quickly? Old Neil stole a glance at him and chortled. No, Dunn managed to drag the zombie in a slumber in time. I'm telling you the story to tell you that a Nighthawk, you not only have believe in yourself, but also trust your teammates too. I see. Thank you, Lucy. Force, where's Force? I heard Force. Is there Force? Force Wall? My Wars? There's no DTS for becoming a member. Damn! I wish there was. I think there's Force because chapter 130 is called Background Secret Gathering. Anyway. I was like, maybe there's Force, we have to summon Lucy. Anyway. I'm not... Blind Buddha, wait, what? Yeah, I'm experienced Nighthawk. Klein fell silent for a few seconds and he replied both sincerely and jokingly. Mr. Neil, you are so wise today. Unc Neil did a tiny hop and found his footing on the in the beer. He replied in disdain, that's because you only get to know the most trivial side of me usually. The two of them left the harbor and walked toward Evil Dragon Bar. Is there only Force in Backland? That's the main side story we have. You have to repay every month to be a member. It's a subscription. Klein put away his revolver, set his cane aside and took off his jacket under the light of the gas street lamp. He started checking if there were any damage to his jacket. How lucky, there are only a few splinters and the patch that got dirtied. He removed the splinters and roughly batted the dust away, then he put it back on. Oh, so he doesn't have to pay for a new suit? Old Neil looked at him with a smile and mimicked his tone by adding leisurely. What a pity, there's no way to claim compensation. Klein was temporarily at a loss for words. I'm not such a person, he emphasized in his heart. At the public carriage arrived, Klein took out a silver wine leaf pocket watch and flipped it open to check the time. If there was nothing else, I have to head home. He turned to tell Unc Neil. Unc Neil nodded slightly and said, enjoy your dinner at home. You need to think about the slumber charm. Wait, Unc Neil. Enjoy your dinner at home. You don't need to think about the slumber charm. I'll get Swain to compensate me. He's a rich man after all. Of course I won't go today. I have to consider this his mood. Klein opened his mouth, but in the end he only said, thank you for your generosity. He boarded the carriage quickly and returned to Daffodil Street. It was already past 7 in the evening, and the sky had already gone dark. Klein took out his keys to open the door and saw Melissa taking off her fishnet hat and setting it to the clothes rack. He smiled and did a small talk. Lucy, what the hell? Really? Damn, thank you. Thank you so much, dude. That's a lot of gifts. Damn. Okay. So enjoy Chin username F enough junkie luck Hopeland Jackie Chang Okamine Esker Otho Abiel Maurashi. Damn. Thank you. Also username lurking, not saying anything. Interesting username. Nightwalker torched. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. That's actually amazing. You're treating me like a king. I don't deserve it, man. I'm just reading a book on stream. Thank you. He boarded the carriage quickly and returned to Daffodil Street. It was already past 7 in the evening, and the sky had already grown dark. Klein took out his keys, opened the door, and saw Melissa taking off her fishnet hat and setting it on the clothes rack. He smiled and did small talk. You just got back? Then his mixed emotions suddenly vanished, and he felt suddenly relaxed. Lucy. Red Devil is also lurking, I see. I can now see all the lurkers in chat, by the way. Wow. Also, Nightwalker torched again. Thank you, Lucy Rim, so much, dude. Now I know I have to say force, and then I get like million subs. Okamina 2. Wait, Okamina. You have 2 accounts watching me? Pulkit, Shinet, Red Devil, Okamina 2, Caprash, Chazzy, Kati, Shabagami, X Mia, UW, Diego Bueno, Sayonara, and Giovanni. Enjoy, by the way. It's random. So you torched. Everyone who wants it, torched it. Thank you so much, by the way. Wow, that's a lot. 20. Sheesh. That's actually crazy. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much. Seriously, like, what's up? Anyway. Thank you. Then his mixed emotions suddenly vanished, and he felt relaxed and warm. There was a practical lesson in school today, Melissa explained seriously. Klein sniffed and smelled the fragrance of food. He was stunned and asked, then who's cooking dinner? The moment he finished the sentence, both of them answered their question in unison. Benson! Their tone had a hint of alarm. Benson, who had heard the conversation, walked out of the kitchen while wiping his hands on an apron. He said, do you have no confidence in my cooking? I remember that before Melissa learned how to cook, you would wait for me to come home and watch me cook with anticipation. Actually, cooking is so easy. You want potato beef stew? Put in the beef first, then the potatoes, then add some seasoning. Klein and Melissa exchanged glances and remained silent. Putting aside his cane and took off his hat, Klein turned around and smiled. I think it's time to hire a maidservant. It's very unhealthy to not eat dinner on time. But I don't want to have a stranger next to us when we chat. It'll make me feel uncomfortable, Melissa said, subconsciously finding an excuse to object. Klein spoke with a smile as he took off his jacket. I don't mind. Just then, his expression froze and he stopped what he was doing. I almost took off my jacket. I still have a revolver at my armpit. Ooh. He cleared his throat and pretended nothing happened. Don't mind her. When we get home, we can let the maidservant rest in her room. I doubt any maidservant will dislike resting. We must find the maidservant who's willing to learn how to cook. Don't all maidservants know how to cook? Then you want to endure the torture of cuisine that left him guessing at the future. Oh, beats. Oh. Okay, Lucy. Okay, I don't think you have to turn on anything. It's just random. I wanna gift to Beats. How do I gift subscription? Lucy, teach me, please. I wanna gift one to Beats. Because he seems really sad. I don't know if I can. Anyway, maybe later. Come home and watch me cook with anticipation. Yeah. Benson stood in the kitchen and nodded in agreement. This is way too epic for cooking, by the way. When we have time, we can go over to Tingen Family Servant Assistance Association. They have a great deal of experience and many resources in this field. Alright, I decided then. Klein ignored Melissa's unwilling look. Backland, Empressboro, Viscount Claint's residence. Here we go. Claint. Audrey Hall left the party with her personal maid, Annie. Then came to the second floor and entered the bedroom that the Viscount had prepared. She took off her glamorous dress and her lightweight dancing heels slowly, with Annie's assistance. She then put on black hooded robe and then that she had prepared ahead of time. Pulling up the hood, Audrey stood before the full mirror and examined herself. She saw that more than half her face was covered by the shadow of her hood, and only her beautiful lips were clearly exposed. Long black robe, face hidden by shadows, a mysterious feeling. This is something I've been dreaming of wearing all this time, Audrey thought to herself happily. But she added a blue boat-shaped soft hat under her hood, with a 5 checkered fishnet drooping down her facial features became even more... No maid's clean, it has to be a chef, how to cook. Ah, I see. I have a friend who's from Saudi Arabia. He has a maid that also cooks, so that's why. Indescribable. Not that bad, that is. Audrey snuffed. Not that bad, it is. Audrey stuffed her feet into leather ankle boots, looked to the side. Yeah. Not that bad, it is. Audrey stuffed her feet into leather ankle boots, looked to the side, and told Annie, "Wait for me here. No matter who comes, do not open the door." Annie looked at her helplessly and said, "But you have to make sure that your trip doesn't take more than an hour." "You'll trust me. I have kept my promise every single time in the past." Audrey smiled and leaned toward her personal maidservant. She hugged her and kissed her cheek as etiquette demanded. Then she walked quickly and pulled up her hood. Turning around, she exited the bedroom through a secret door. Ooh, secret door! She walked all the way down and came to the side door of the Viscount residence, where she saw there was already a carriage waiting there. Klein stood amidst the shadows as he glanced at Audrey and complimented sincerely. "By dressing up like this, you were really, a description yourself often used. Very cool." "Thank you." Audrey pulled up an imaginary skirt and curtsied elegantly. The two of them got into carriage and left the villa. They arrived at the house about 20 minutes away. Outside the house, Audrey saw apprentice Force Wall mentioned, and her friend Arbiter XIO Terecha, whom she had been seeing recently. Arbiter? That's a sequence, right? Arbiter XIO Terecha. That's a sequence 9 Arbiter. Interesting. Yeah, you're right, Jin. For's slightly wavy brown hair and her light blue eyes showed a natural laziness. She pointed at Shio Derecha next to her and said, "She's an excellent persuader, capable of helping you get things that you want." Shio was slightly shorter, about 150. Wow! Her facial features were soft, but she seemed pretty young and immature. Remember that special trailer? I called her a little boy in that special trailer. So it is a girl after all. Huh. Although her shoulder length blonde hair was messy and unkempt, she was in a traditional night training suit. She carried an indescribable look of dignity and convincing charm. Audrey had met her a few times. She smiled faintly and greeted, "Miss Shio, can I trust you?" "You don't have to worry at all." Shio smiled and gestured with her hand. Just as she walked to follow Audrey and Viscount Klein, they heard a sudden thud. Audrey looked towards the source of the sound and saw that a triangular blade, coruscating with a gold glimmer, had fallen beside Shio Deresha's leg. Shio was the boy in the trailer? Oh, I see. Digesting the bone potion did not get a gift, I'm sorry. Audrey and Shio Derecha exchanged looks simultaneously at a loss of words. After nearly 20 seconds, Shio quickly squatted and picked up the triangular blade and hid on her body. Interesting. We had to prevent the occurrence of accident. Some people lack rationality, and they aren't convinced easily. XIO explained seriously. Ooh. Audrey nodded and replied with a clear voice, I believe you. These are the tools to convince those bastards to talk to us calmly, Force added, looking sideways at the lone. Oh my god, I love Force already, man. The quartet didn't continue conversing and walked a few steps forward. They knocked on the wooden door with 3 long and 2 short knocks. Doors cracked and opened. Slowly using her spectator state, Audrey looked into the house at many people sitting randomly. They employed various methods such as hoods or masks to conceal their looks. Some didn't even bother and exposed their faces openly. Ooh, crooks. Almost instantly, Audrey noticed a black-robed man on the single-seat sofa. That man wore a hood too, hiding his looks under a shadow. He looked at the guests in silence, giving people a feeling that he was somehow in commanding position. Okay. He's very confident, but his gaze is very disgusting. His gaze moved up and down my body like, ugh! Like 2 slippery tentacles wanting to tear off my clothes. Ugh! Audrey's senses were sharp. She carefully observed and made a judgment calmly, but she nearly had a goosebumps. Pervert! If small guys are twinks, what are small girls? I think thin. Like, you can be a twink when you're 2 meters tall, by the way. You can be a twink at 2 meters tall, I'm just saying. Force introduced him. That's Mr. A powerful Beyonder, the leader of the secret gathering. Mr. A? Like Mr. said? I'm guessing maybe, probably not related, right? Because Mr. A is just concealing his identity. Mr. Eindu? Okay, 101 transaction. Interesting, Mr. A. Also, Force, are we gonna continue this in Backland? I hope so. Because everything that's new to me, I get literally goosebumps and I'm excited like a little kid on Christmas. Because we can actually read something I haven't seen yet and it's so fucking exciting, right? Dom Girls? So, Dom Girls is the opposite of Femboy. Why are we talking about this, by the way? Anyway, 101. Let's see, Mr. A. Mr. Eindu. Secret gathering. Also a pervert, apparently, by judging from Audrey's reaction. Anyway, I need to pee. So I'll be right back. Hello, I am back from my bathroom break. Also, guys, if you're liking the stream, can you please like the video? I will really appreciate it. And if you aren't subscribed for some reason, can you please subscribe? I don't know how this thing can get any better than it already is because of people like Lucy Rem and Beats and stuff. Okay, let's go. Transaction. Oh god, he will ask for money, right? Mr. A, that sounds more like a code name for a criminal rather than a powerful man of the mystery. Well, man of mystery, is Mr. A the Lord of Mysteries? It can't be compared to the Fool at all, no. Only gods or demigods can be compared to Mr. Fool. Ooh, what if sequence 1 of series called Lord of Mysteries, by the way? I think I made that theory before. Audrey felt a sense of superiority as she thought about this. She looked calmly at Mr. A and spoke to Force and XIO with a hushed tone. Are there stories about this man? The Hooded Viscount claimed was equally curious. XIO replied sternly. There were several such incidents in the past. Sequence 8 Beyonders, some even Sequence 7, have targeted and tried to deal with Mr. A, but they all mysteriously disappeared. So he's truly a powerful Beyonder, Klein marveled. They walked into the room as they spoke. The guards immediately closed the door behind them. After adjusting the cast lamp in the room, Audrey saw 2 blackboards with several phrases written across them right in front of her. At that moment, Force, who had an unlit cigarette in her hand, whispered, "Oh, unlit! Force is so cool. Those are the requests of the member of this gathering. You'll be able to understand that many people do not wish for others to know what they possess to avoid being a target of greedy people. Thus, they write the request of what they're selling, as well as the rough price on the blackboards anonymously." Rat on crack? Isn't... How am I doing Klein 30? Bro is a noble, highborn noble, probably born from incest. And his description, I thought maybe he's like that, you know what I mean? Became like a viscount at the age of 21. What emotes got removed? My emotes? What emotes? Audrey nodded. She didn't care to observe the members of meeting. Instead, she shifted her gaze to the words of the left board. I need a pair of eyes from mature manhole-fish. Dust left behind by vengeful spirit, 165 pounds. 3 pages of Emperor Roselle's notebook, 20 pounds. Only 20 pounds from the notebook? I guess so cheap because people don't know that you have use for them, you know what I mean? Monkey King's emotes? Okay. Audrey couldn't maintain a state of perspective there when she saw that. She was as shocked as she was excited. These prices, especially too cheap. Oh my god, 165 pounds is cheap. She thought in excitement and joy. As she walked, her gaze shifted as she saw other notices. Deer of an infant flower, 200 pounds. Mummy powder, 10 grams, 5 pounds. Ooh, the the Viagra, right? Murloc slime. Ooh, Murloc mentioned again. 29 pounds. Formula for secret age potion. Sheriff. Sheriff? Sheriff? That sounds fucking awesome. Imagine acting as a sheriff. You're gonna be even more legendary police than bitch. You know what I mean? Sheriff is so tough, man. What sequence is that? I wanna be sheriff. Don't say him. It's gonna be relieved later, I think. I'm gonna copy this in my notes, dude. Sheriff, sequence 8 sheriff. Oh my god. Just too cheap. Beyond their ingredients, all cost less than 300. Audrey's eyes sparkled as she found a place to sit together with her companions. XIO leaned over and whispered into her ear. Do you have anything you want? Audrey breathed heavily. Emperor Cell's famous quote flashed through her mind. I want it all. She had 2 elder brothers, rendering her eligibility to inherit the aristocratic title and the main portion. Wait, Audrey has brothers? She had 2 elder brothers, rendering her eligibility to inherit the aristocratic title, and the main portion of the inheritance null. But as lady adored by her parents and brothers, she had property, farmland, pastures, mines, jewelry, stocks, and bonds to her name. Together, they were all valued at 300,000 pounds. Holy shit, that's a lot of fucking money, bro. This was part of her inheritance, but she only possessed them in name before her father, Earl Hall, passed away or when she got married. Every year she received a corresponding amount from a trust fund. Trust fund, baby! But even so, she could receive 15 or 25,000 pounds a year, making her one of the richest women among the nobles in the entire Lowen Kingdom. Holy fuck! Well, I don't see any emotes! What the fuck are you guys talking about? Of course, she had expenses she couldn't avoid as a noble, and now that she has received an annual payout, she could no longer pester herself parents her money all the time. She controlled herself and answered with reservation. For the time being, I have my sights on Emperor Cell's notebook. I adore him, and I think that the special symbols and literature he created hold a mysterious power. It's just that we haven't found the correct way to decipher them. Oh. I like those emotes. I use them all the time. Audrey, you're becoming more and more hypocritical, she added in her heart. Just as she had said that a young man in a white shirt sitting near the stood up excitedly. He agreed with Audrey. Yes, that's true. I finally met someone who shares the same opinion as me. What the fuck? Who are you? I am the person with the pre-pledged notebook, and I can sell them to you right now. Oh, someone wants to sell maybe? The one that XS Fanbird just sent. Audrey was a loss at first before she replied with a smile. Then please allow me to express my gratitude. She took a pair of 10-pound notes and handed them over to the man, then received the 3 pages of Roselle's notebook diary in exchange. Of course, no one knew what they were part of his diary, and thus everyone generally called them his notebook. Audrey flipped through the pages after she received them and confirmed that the writing was similar to the previous pages that she had come across. Audrey was a divorce, yeah. Audrey flipped through the pages after she received them and confirmed that the writing was similar to the previous pages that she had come across. She put away the diary and asked XIO and forced softly, "Who can I ask but the notes are fake?" Mr. A? Yes, Mr. A will, Yes! Mr. A will not allow any fraud to take place in his gathering, and I could help you dictate this privately too, XIO replied eagerly. I understand. Audrey entered the spectator state and surveyed the beyonders and beyonders to be around her. There were many people looking over because of the excitement of the young man just now. They were observing Audrey and Claint, some making it obvious while others were more discreet, but Audrey and Claint hoods covered their features well. There are sofas and chairs strewn all over the venue, all facing the board. The material of the furniture is rather normal, indicating that the person who gathered them here. Mr. A isn't a noble and doesn't care much about the venue. Yes, with the confidence he displayed, he need not be overly pretentious with the venue. Audrey looked around and calmly observed. Mr. A looks at all the ladies present, his gaze often lingering on those who have above average looks. He's a pervert, he's lecherous. Why is he looking at me so frequently? Can he see through my robe? Imagine, by the way, if he can. What the fuck? Audrey was shocked at this deduction. She felt disgusted if she had just eaten a fly. Like, basically, this is basically sexual assault if he can, by the way. But her worries quickly eased, for she noticed that Mr. A was not looking at her body or the bodies of the other ladies. Oh, never mind, we judged too quickly. This means that his eyes cannot see through fabric directly. His sense of sight is exceptional. Maybe a beyonder on the spectator pathway is if he's observing me at close distance. With that ability, the hood won't achieve much. Audrey calmly observed the rest of the people engaging in their own deals and got understanding of the circumstances of some of the people there. Okay, at that moment, Mr. A's facilitators walked over and whispered to Audrey's group, You can write your own requests on a piece of paper and pass them to me, or wait till the break later to write whatever you want to sell on the backboard in a small room. Mr. A sucks. Or sus? What do you mean? Rose took a whiff of her cigarette and surveyed the surroundings cautiously. Have you considered which sequence 9 formula you want? She kept her promise and told Audrey and Viscount Clint about all sequence pathways she knew of. Tell me too, please! Audrey pretended to think before saying spectator. I want to become spectator. Ooh, smooth, Audrey. And also I want advancement of spectator telepathist. She considered the fact that she would have come into frequent contact with Force and XIO in the future, making it highly possible that they would realize that she was a beyonder. A spectator should have to take this opportunity to reveal this to them and completely conceal the fact that the Dark Club existed. Even though I'd be wasting some money, it'd still be worth it. Audrey praised herself. Audrey praising herself. At the same time, she noticed that XIO was looking at the blackboards from the time to time. Their expression was that of desire and depression. Oh god. XIO told me that the corresponding sequence 8 to Arbiter was Sheriff. Oh, that's what XIO wants probably, right? Okay, that's crazy info. I wanna be Arbiter! Let's look up what Arbiter means. Arbiter meaning a person who settles a dispute or has ultimate authority in matter. Oh yeah, we looked it up last time, I remember. Oh my god, yeah, I did last stream. Arbiter. She's looking at the £150 price tag. Well, it's obvious that she wants the formula for Sheriff. She's already been an Arbiter for more than a year, and she has been unknowingly acting the role of an Arbiter. Her emotion should have been digested already. All these details tell me that XIO lacks money. Come on, Audrey, buy it for her. I mean, 450 is a lot of money, by the way. As Audrey was deducting all of this, Clint revealed his choice. Apothecary. Wait, what? That's such a fucking nerd choice, Clint. Apothecary. I want the formula for sequence 9 apothecary. Feeling the cases from Audrey, Force and XIO, explained themselves with a chortle. To me, Elton not having to worry about major illness and harm is the most important thing. A rational decision. I once dreamed of becoming an apothecary, Force sighed while smiling. She had rather languid demeanor. After making the decision, Audrey and the rest wrote the request on pieces of paper and handed them over to the facilitator. They looked on the facilitator, made his way around the venue, and asked the other participants, collecting several other slips of paper. The facilitator then shuffled the notes and handed them over to his partner in charge of the blackboards, asked him to transcribe the information onto them. Apothecary is quoted. I mean, I believe you, but like, I told you more that Clint will be like this. Like, you can't put the image of Clint talking like this out of my head, by the way. After making a decision, Audrey and the rest wrote to EM. The facilitator then shuffled the notes. Yep. I need the formulas for both Inspector and Telepathist. The price will be negotiated face to face. The facilitator will repeat the request 3 times after he wrote it onto the blackboard. If someone was interested, they would apply for a room in secret. There will be facilitators helping them complete the deal. Okay. After waiting for a while, Audrey and Clint didn't receive a request for a deal. They were rather disappointed. Ooh. At that moment, a facilitator walked over to Audrey's side and handed her a folded piece of paper. It's from Mr. A, the facilitator said softly. Audrey unfolded the slip of paper and took a look. Are you interested in formulas of other secret sign potions? Audrey curled the ends of her mouth disdainfully and wrote on a blank spot. I'm only interested in the spectator. She folded into the piece of paper and handed it over to the facilitator, then watched as he passed it to Mr. A. Mr. A took a glance and didn't say anything, continuing to look over the rest of the members silently. I think Mr. A knows you're already a spectator, by the way. I think Mr. A is like a sequence 6 or sequence 5 beyonder. 15 minutes later, Mr. A said, now we finally have a break, you can interact with other participants freely. At this moment, the young man who sold Emperor Cell's diary approached Audrey and said in excitement, I have already deciphered the portion of Emperor Cell's special characters and tattooed them onto myself, allowing me to gain some remarkable abilities. What? Stop the gap! What? I don't even know all of them, I can't say. Maybe at the end of Volume 2. But spectator so far, I guess. Least favorite? What is the one that... The farmer? No, not the farmer. Botanist? I don't know anything about it, so... Not the apothecary, there was one more. Planter, yeah. I mean, you can't like plant the seeds for evolution or something. You know what I mean? Planter is very interesting, like name. Mr. A? Maybe he tapped his spirit vision or something. Maybe he can tell. Maybe higher sequence beyond this can tell. Mr. A, I mean. That's my thoughts. Just saying my thoughts, you know? That's a theory, yeah. I'm not saying it's a fact. I said maybe Mr. A found out that Order is a Beyonder. That's why he's asking, do you want any other potions? Are you interested? Audrey suddenly recalled that she had masked Mr. Fool, yet the special characters in Emperor Cell's diary possessed any unique abilities. Mr. Fool's answer was that they were useless unless a deity suddenly took interest in them. She looked at the young man in front of her and she thought for a moment. She then probed. What remarkable abilities? The young man answered excitedly. I have become stronger and more healthy. Pseudo effect, maybe? Audrey looked at him in pity. I'm sorry. I have more trust in my own research. The remaining time she continued observing those who came to his gathering, but didn't obtain any more information. All she had was a rough deduction that some of them were doctors or lawyers, ordinary occupations. Okay, interesting. Audrey and the rest left the venue after another half an hour and returned to Viscount Clayton's mansion as they waited till the ball ended. Audrey returned home at around 10 at night. She was about to get her maidservant to prepare some hot water, but she saw her dog Susie shoot her a look. My dog just shot me a look. Audrey's emotions become complicated. The coats are here? Holy shit. Susie. 132. The monster again. I mean, I know plants are OP because I'm also watching cultivation donghuas. So I'm guessing it's a similar idea for plants, right? Susie talked last time. Susie is talking. I made an amazing voice for Susie, which I kind of forgot about, I guess. See them coming. Is he coming? The lyrics? I always sing over it, so I don't know. Susie is talking, yeah. Meeting the monster again. Oh. She found an excuse for her maidservant to leave them alone temporarily. Audrey locked the door and looked back at her golden retriever Susie, who she wasn't sure could still be considered as her pet. You heard or came across something? Susie sat steadily and howled, reverberating the air around her. Yes. Wait, this is Susie talking, right? You heard or rather across something? Susie sat steadily and howled, reverberating in the air around her. Yes, I heard that Countess discussion with a few members of the parliament in the study. They said that the king and the prime minister came to a mutual agreement. They will give up their revenge plan on the Vasic Empire in Palam's East. Well, this is Susie, sorry. Susie, this is Susie talking. I'm sorry. Remember what Audrey did to Susie last time? To spy on the parliament members because of war and stuff. Yeah, I heard the count's discussion with a few members of the parliament in the study. They said that the king and the prime minister came to a mutual agreement. They will give up their revenge plan on the Vasic Empire in Palam's east coast for the time being. Where is Palam East Coast? Susie's terrifying speed, the grasping low, and made Audrey feel mixed emotions. She fell silent for a few seconds before she said, I'll give you a map tomorrow. Okay, Susie replied in delight. The king and prime minister believe that presently the most pertinent task is to push for the reformation, which will allow civil servants to be selected via examination. They hope to pass the bill through the House of Lords and the House of Commons before October. Really? Audrey asked, pleasantly surprised. That was the first matter that she managed to secretly guide after she became a spectator, turning into reality while giving her a sense of achievement. Susie answered frankly, I can't give you a definite answer. It's just what I've heard. I couldn't even fully understand what they meant. After all, I'm a dog. I'm just a dog that just started to learn. Audrey was stunned for a moment before she beamed and said, Susie, you did well. This is your reward. She took out a bag from Slavish cabinet and opened the seal and placed it before Susie. It was a dog biscuit. Oh, let's go. It was a dog biscuit produced by the Backland Pet Care Company, which was made of flour, vegetables, meat and water. It was a snack that Susie really liked. Susie sat straight and sniffed. She waved her paw, seemingly deciding how she was to consume it to suit her present identity the best. After a few seconds, she gave up thinking, adhered to her instinct, and leaped forward. She grabbed the bag of snacks and ran outside. Oh my god! She stood on her hind legs and opened the door with one claw, then ran out and hid the shadows and began enjoying her snack. On Sunday, Klein didn't wake up until the afternoon because he had spent the night on duty at Chinese Gate. Oh, we're back at Klein. That was so cool, by the way. Oh my god. Because he had spent the night on duty at Chinese Gate, Klein took the trackless public carriage and arrived at Evil Dragon Bar. That was so cool, by the way, I really enjoyed it. He had previously planned to use divination to find monster admissal and determine the reason for his recent oddity. However, so, by the way, before we continue with Klein here, I just want to say that in the previous chapter, or 1.5 chapter, we saw Mr. A, for example, who seems to maybe be a Beyonder, because there was stories that sequence 7 and sequence 8 Beyonders appear inside of him, like when someone throws hands with him or something. And we know that XIO wants sequence 8 sheriff, and she's a brokey, so I wonder if in the future Glint and Audrey will have another team up and fight for her. And yeah, I mean, very interesting. I want to see that story progress, because we still need to see more of Force, and I do want Force or maybe Claint. If Claint is gonna join Tarot Club, I'm gonna change his voice, by the way, don't worry. I'm gonna make him less nerdy. But maybe Claint is gonna join if he becomes an apothecary. Maybe Force is gonna join. Maybe XIO is gonna join the Tarot Club, because I want from every pathway a new user to Tarot Club, right? So that's why I don't think Susie is joining, because Susie is already a spectator and Audrey is a spectator, right? So I don't think it's going to be a double spectator in the Tarot Club. Anyway, let's continue. However, he was interrupted by the loss of control of Mandated Punisher and could only reschedule it to today. He went through the billiard room and entered the underground market. The client didn't need to search for them, for he immediately saw Admissal shivering in a corner. When the pale-looking young man with black, messy, oily hair sensed Klein's approach, he suddenly covered his eyes and leaned against the wall in an attempt to move towards the side door. Klein quickened his pace and blocked Admissal from leaving. He tapped his left molars twice secretly. In his spirit vision, Admissal aura appeared rather unhealthy. All the color seemed dim. In other words, although he didn't have any major diseases, the body was very weak. Interesting. At the same time, Klein realized that vibrant fear and anxiety were revealed in the monster's emotions. He had lost almost all of the blue that represented rational thinking. The surface of his astral projection extended from the depths of his ether body. The color was unified, transparent, and colorless, just like pure light. Is this the uniqueness of naturally born monster? Klein nodded indiscriminately as he stared at Admissal's face and said, "What did you see recently? What did you come across? Why are you hiding in corner and quivering while saying that they are all corpses and everyone is dead?" Oh, maybe is this a vision about the Dingen's doomsday? I'm guessing. Fanber? No, it's a rage baiter, man. I'm sure that username is lurking, right? I'm sorry, Fanber. I'm sorry, you're my favorite viewer, I swear. Admiral lowered his head and looked toward his toes. It seemed that he didn't dare to look directly at the person before him. He was shivering almost violently in his grayish blue trousers and ragged linen shirt. He replied in flutter. No, I didn't say anything. No, I only had a dream. There's blood everywhere in the dream and corpses scattered everywhere. Haha, boo-hoo. I was among the corpses. I was there. I'm gonna die. I don't want to die. He laughed and he cried. His reply confused Klein. Klein massaged his temples and lowered his voice to ask again. Why are you afraid of me? Almistel was taken aback for a few seconds when he suddenly squatted down. He yelled in extreme fear, No! Everyone looked over at Klein and suddenly felt awkward. I didn't do anything to you. Why are you screaming as though something happened? He laughed dryly. He saw that Almistel was curled up in a trembling fetal position. Besides begging for mercy, he didn't say anything else. Klein had no choice but to distance himself and pretend that he was just passing by. Maybe I should ask Mr. Osik for advice, but he just went on vacation to the northern part to face a campfire last week, and he'll return next Thursday or Friday. Before that, I have to first report to Captain. Klein covered his mouth as he yawned. He turned and left the underground market. After he got his salary that week his private stash returned to £8 10 solei. However, truly rare beyond their ingredients were so expensive that he could only window shop. Of course, he wasn't afraid of the high interest. He could only get a short-term loan from Swain. Oh, high interest. Never get high interest loans. When he exited Evil Dragon Bar and waited for the public carriage, Klein considered the future developments. In another week, the £12 from my advance salary at the beginning will be cleared. The money that I bring home will finally reach £3 a week. Melissa will have no excuse about delaying the hiring of a maidservant. The other £3 will remain a secret. I had to save more money for myself. And I have quickly get the telepathist formula or related clues from Daxter. I can use the excuse of giving an underlying funds to exchange it for cash for Miss Odd Justice. Imagine like selling £1,000 formula to Justice. Like I think the fool should cook something up like that, you know? This could be done through an anonymous bank transfer. During the process, I'll cause interference via divination. It'll be very safe and it won't reveal my identity. I'm getting on a public carriage. Client didn't head to Blackthorn Security Company directly, but planned on heading to the Divination Club for 2 hours. As part of their work needed to foreshadow his digestion of the potion. Plus, Klein was now considered famous in the divination industry. There were returning customers of the past, and there were also referrals. On average, he would have more than 10 divinations in an afternoon. That's a lot, by the way. Holy shit. Why would Mr. Fool need £10,000 to buy the ingredients for the clown potion, even though we know that it's gonna be given to him by the church, right? Through anime only? That's so cool. Hence, even though he only went twice a week, he could still make a profit of half a pound. To the impoverished, Mr. Fool, it was better than nothing. Brokey! It was a pity that I made sound too good at the beginning and faltered too perfect of an image. I can just change my divination fees as I wish. While sitting in the meeting room at Divination Club, Klein thought to himself helplessly as he drank his Siba black tea. With his present fame, people will still seek his services even if he charged 4 soli. However, a CEO that respected fate, he could only continue to charge 8 pence. Yeah. Although Klein had fully digested the potion, he wasn't willing to take the risk of going against the 0 principles that he previously summarized. That included not obtaining excessive benefits from divination. After all, he didn't know if it would lead to losing control or other negative effects. The confidential information that Nighthawks had didn't include the concept of digesting. Thus, Klein couldn't determine if there was still risks after fully digesting the potion. True, good observation, by the way. How could he explain the needs of clown potion to Audrey? No, he's not gonna... No. He's gonna sell a sequence 8 formula or whatever to Audrey and get money in return. He's not gonna ask for the clown potion formula or money for the clown potion formula. He's just gonna ask for money. But why would the fool need the money though? Actually, you're right, by the way. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. Why would the god need money? Exactly. And even though he only went twice a week, he could still make a profit of half a pound. To the impoverished Mr. Fool, yeah. Although Klein had fully digested the potion, yeah. The confidential information in the night talks didn't include the concept of digesting. Thus, Klein couldn't determine if there was still risks after fully digesting the potion, or if he could do anything that was against the principle. Just as he was thinking about these things, the beautiful attendant named Angelica came in and walked over to him. She leaned down and softly said, "Mr. Moretti, someone wishes to your divination. Raid the gate room." Alright, Klein had checked if it was a suitable day to visit the divination lab before he came, and he had obtained a definite answer from his divination. Okay. He took his silk top hat, exited the room, and saw his customer that was waiting at the door at the Red Agate room. The customer was a maiden around 16 years old. She was wearing the light blue ruffled dress and holding a cowsy hat of the same color. She had brown girly hair and cute face with baby fat, oh my god, and a pair of beautiful light blue eyes. We know who it is now, right? Ay. Elizabeth, Klein recognized his sister's good friend Elizabeth, who studied at the EVOS public school. He had once helped pick an amulet for her, and also resolved, why mentioning her baby fat, by the way, and resolved Selena's magic mirror divination incident with her assistants. Similarly, Elizabeth said in pleasant surprise, "Mr. Moretti, it's really you. I was wondering if it was you when I saw the name. I am mysticism enthusiast after all," Klein explained helplessly. Then he added, "Don't tell Melissa. Oh, Selena as well." The divination results showed that if it was suitable for me to visit the divination club, why did I run into Elizabeth? He shook his head as he turned around to open the door to the Red Agate room. At the same time, he clicked his left molar twice. Then they entered the room slowly. After he took the seat of the diviner, he lifted his head to look towards Elizabeth. With just one glance, he increased his eyebrows. There was still a faint layer of gloomy green in the maiden's energy field, a symptom of being haunted by spirits and wraiths. Blind with a calm judgment and asked directly, "Have you had nightmares recently, ones with repetitive elements?" Elizabeth, who had just locked the door and had yet to take a seat, was dumbstruck. It took her a long time to reply. "Yes, that's why I came to look for you." Ryan leaned back and asked, "What kind of dream did you have? When did it start?" It began from the last 2 days of my vacation to Lamut Town. "Oh, our family has our estate there." Elizabeth was considered half a mysticism enthusiast, so she had better memories of such situations. "In my dream, I always run into a knight in full black armor. He carries a huge broadsword, and his face is fully covered with a helmet. So all I could see is a pair of glowing red eyes." Red eyes? In the dream, he keeps attempting to get closer to me. Afraid, I run away. The distance shortens every time. It sounds like a horror, by the way. Klein thought and asked, 3 days before you had such a dream, did you get in touch with any antiques, ancient ruins, real objects, or mausoleum?" Elizabeth recalled and answered, I visited a mountain near Lamo Town. It's an abandoned ancient castle." Ooh, there we go. "There's a tunneled opening of a paranormal novel," Klein lampooned suddenly as he passed on. So this is probably Eggers, Asik's son, haunting in his dream, right? "Did you leave anything behind in the castle, or did you take anything from the castle?" Lamut. Horror, yeah. Elizabeth creased her beautiful eyebrows and answered moments later in uncertainty. "I got my brambles and bled. Does living blood behind count?" Klein nodded with a mask of solemnity and answered in a deep voice, "Yes." Ooh, okay, so the castle, right? Expensive charms. So we're gonna get that with the wraith, of what was his name? Ozik's son? Eggers something? What was your guess for Ozik's sequence? Well, I think it's 99% confirmed, but it's still a theory. Corpse collector, right? Because in the special trailer it says the Tarot Club has a new member from the Death Pathway, and I think it's Ozik. Tenor, yeah. Tenor's Eggers. Oh, Ozik's sequence is high sequence. Sequence 4. I think. Around that. Name for his sequence? I don't know. Elizabeth immediately turned nervous after hearing Klein's reply. Subsequently, she began to speak faster. Can you help me divine the specific reason? It will be even better if you can divine a way to solve this. Divination can only give us a general direction of how to solve a problem, and furthermore, it will be unclear and filled with symbolism, making it difficult to decipher. Saying correctly. Of course, you're very lucky. I'm not a continuous here. I'm a true mysticism scholar. Mysticism scholar, Klein lampooned the girl's question before saying solemnly, since this matter has to do with dreams, I will success a similar divination method. So this is the first time I'm hearing the word lampoon, and so many times, by the way, in this novel. Like it's mentioned like 100 times now. I never hear it outside of this novel. Alright, Elizabeth nodded her head like a hungry woodpecker. Klein maintained his professional attitude. I will need you to sleep here and allow the dream to present itself. Is that a problem? There's no problem, I trust you, Elizabeth answered without hesitation while pursing her lips. But she quickly added with a stammer, but I cannot guarantee that I would have that same dream. It's just an attempt, Klein consoled her with a gentle smile. Then I pointed at the long sofa on the side of the agate room. Please. No need for that. I'll sleep here. Elizabeth shook her head gently. She crossed her arms and said, I'll sleep like this at school after classes whenever I feel tired. She used her arms as a pillow and leaned forward onto the edge of the table. Ooh, that's dangerous, actually. Alright. You can pretend that I'm not here, Klein smiled as he observed. This is dangerous for your posture, I mean. As he observed the colors of her aura and emotions. He used them to deduce if the girl had fallen asleep or not. Okay. Elizabeth closed her eyes and buried her face in her arms. Trying hard to ease her breathing. Klein didn't speak as he leaned back into the chair. The room suddenly became unusually quiet. It was peaceful silence, a silence that would make one forget their troubles. Sometimes later, Klein took a semicircular piece of silver from his pocket after he confirmed that Elizabeth had fallen asleep. The piece of silver was filled with indecipherable Hermes phrases as well as symbolic imagery and numbers. Wrong. I forgot to change. It was a dream charm that the Klein had succeeded in making the previous morning. He also finished making 2 slumber charms and 2 requiem charms. The former were made with rectangular pieces of silver, while the latter were made with triangular pieces. This was to help him differentiate between them solemnly by touch during intense battle. Smart, by the way. Crimson, Klein softly recited the phrase in ancient Hermes. Ponies like used every 5 chapters. Yeah, exactly. Like so 25 times then. This was the activation incantation that he had set. Since there was still a step of injecting spirituality into the charm, there was no need for his incantation to be different from the rest. All he needed was to be short. All it meant to be short and easy to remember. The mysterious incantation reverberated around the room. Klein felt the dream charm become light in his hand, as if it had temporarily lost its weight. Klein immediately placed the charm on the table in front of him after he injected with his spirituality. A transparent flame leaped up silently, enveloping the charm and became a deep, serene black. The black flames spread quickly, enveloping Elizabeth and Klein. Klein seized the opportunity to enter a state of cogitation. He used his spirituality to look at the illusory spherical light in front of him. The spherical light was surrounded by a boundless darkness, making it seem exceptionally lonely. Klein didn't dare delay any further as he emitted his spirituality, allowing it to touch the illusory ball of light. Silently, the scene around him started to coruscate and warp, but it quickly settled into a yellowish-brown plain. The plain was littered with the corpses of horses and humans. Fresh blood and weapons could be seen everywhere. Elizabeth was wearing a regal gown with encomiendias. This is the French word, by the way. Encomiendias and a vision hat. She was looking around lost. She quickly saw Klein's figure and revealed a look of surprise and joy. Mr. Moretti, we meet again. I had suspected that the Klein Moretti on the name register was you and... What the fuck? Okay. Again, what is the name register was you when Selina and I came to get divination. I came again multiple times, but always missed you as I had to attend lessons during the day. When I was free during the summer break, I was dragged to a holiday at Lamour town to my parents. You can help me, right? And froze for a moment where he heard the girl's talkativeness. Yeah, she's a yapper, dude. I think Elizabeth had suspected that I was working part-time at the divination club and tried to find me multiple occasions. Yet she didn't appear abnormal at all. Her surprise was authentic, masking her true thoughts. Indeed, everyone's dream shows their most honest side, other than me, Mr. Fool. As he was indulging in his thoughts, Elizabeth's dream changed. A tall knight about 1.9 meters in height, my height by the way, was walking towards them, dragging a broadsword which was scraped the ground. This knight was dressed in black armor. The metallic sounds of metal gliding could be heard with his every step. The blobs of red light akin to flames peeked out from the slit of his faceplate. They were staring at Klein and Elizabeth intently. The will of a wraith, still not the stage of evil spirit. Klein, who was in his spirituality state, didn't need to activate his spirit vision. According to the classification based on Nighthawk's confidential information, the feeling of vengeance and injustice left behind by spirits were the weakest and easiest kinds of souls to deal with. Following those were shadows and wraiths. Evil spirits were the most difficult soul-like creatures to deal with. The most horrifying of evil spirits were said to be as strong as high-sequence beyonders. Oh god, I wonder if we're gonna see in the future, right? With this in mind, I am I'm actually 185, 186 actually. So yeah, I am, bro, I am. Multiple specks of light scattered the fireflies. Klein's spirituality returned to his body, allowing his eyes once again adapt to the darkness of music is Persona 5 body, allowing his eyes to once again adapt to darkness of the red gate room. He saw the tools needed for divination placed around the table, as well as a dream charm that had almost finished burning. Ryan felt the pinch when he saw this. Charms in Evernight Goddess's domain were all made using pure silver, so it pained his heart. Oh wow, it'd be expensive, right? Using these charms akin to burning money, even if I don't account for my labor cost. The materials alone already average to about 6 to 8 soli per charm. Yeah, it's a little bit chazzy, dude. That's a lot, by the way. Well, he felt a little more at peace when he thought about the Beyonders from the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun. After all, they burned gold. The corresponding metal for the sun was gold. How am I 4'11"? Like, bro, look at my chair. My chair is huge, right? If I was 4'11", I would be like this, bro. Yes, everyone's spoiled. Everyone literally spoiled when you left. I got spoiled on everything. Using these charms akin to burning money, yeah. Well, he felt a little more peace when he thought about Beyonders from the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun. After all, they burned gold. The corresponding metal for the sun was gold. Elizabeth groaned softly as slowly woke up before straightening her posture. She glanced furtively at Klein and asked, Mr. Moretti, are there any results from your divination? Yes, Klein nodded seriously. Your nightmare shall disappear in no more than a week. I'll report this to the captain and get him to send someone to deal with it at Lamut town, Klein added in his heart. Really? That's really great. Thank you, Mr. Moretti. Elizabeth became excited. She then suddenly creased her eyebrows. What's the matter, Klein asked in concern. Nothing. I just remembered I have to go home now. She slowly took out a single soli that she had prepared and placed it on the table. She then grabbed her hat and bade goodbye to Klein a little hesitantly. After leaving the Redicate room, Elizabeth walked toward the stairs outside. She flayed her arms after she confirmed that no one was watching and groaned softly. Pins and needles, how numbing. There were no pins and needles. Did you do that before? In Blackthorn Security Company, Don rubbed his forehead as he looked at Klein. Did you suddenly return because you had came across another supernatural incident? Hey, Captain, what's with that tone of disparagement? Klein cleared his throat and answered without hesitation, yes. What is the matter of this? Don Smith rubbed his forehead again. Klein organized his words and replied, 2 things. With the first incident, I discovered Monster, Admisol, hunched in a corner, shivering in fear. When I was buying materials for my charms in the underground market, I think Admisol was having visions. When he said that, he hinted heavily that he needed a reimbursement for the materials. Klein mentioned the fees for the detective he employed to find Daxter, for it involved a red chimney. He deeply regretted not employing separate detectives. Don seemed to fail to read between the lines as he nodded slightly. What happened to Admisol? Klein exhaled silently and described in detail. Admisol had a dream. He dreamed that there were corpses and blood everywhere. One of the corpses was his, and thus he became very frightened. Don thought for a moment before asking slowly, as a seer, what do you think it symbolizes? A disaster that spans a wide area, but they have no information other than this. Furthermore, not everything in Admisol's dream might have a symbolic meaning. Lion said while deliberating his words. I will report this to the Holy Cathedral and see what they have to say. Don shook his head and said in a self-deprecating manner, "This isn't something I have expertise in." Lion didn't have any other ideas either. He changed his subject and spoke about the wraith harassment Elizabeth faced. Lamut Town, is that the lady a believer of the goddess? Don asked. Yes, Lion gave an affirmative answer. Then there will be no problems. Let's head over to Lamut Town and try to get dinner there. Oh, and bring Fry along. His ability should prove useful in the incident involves corpses and ghosts. Don massaged his temples and tried his hardest to contemplate whether he had forgotten anything. If Elizabeth wasn't a believer of the Midnight Goddess, then they would have to hand her over to the man with the Punisher, or have her in my mind, according to her faith. If her faith didn't lie in any of the three major churches, then she would be handed over to Machine High Mind, who were responsible for outskirts. Nice speech. Klein didn't speak. He waited silently for a while before hearing Don add also. Also, you have 3 men on the mission. We can request to use sealed artifact 30782. Oh, the thing, yeah. This is the that's connected to the sun. After a minute, Klein recalled that the sealed artifact was called the mutated sun sacred emblem. Yeah, the sacred emblem beyond their influence seemed to be last a long time. It had the ability to constantly purify any corpses and spirits in 15-meter radius. However, it had the drawback of purifying the soul of a commoner at the same time. Research data indicated that if a normal human were to stand within its radius for an hour, they would become an idiot. They only knew how to praise the sun. The limit for beyonders was 6 hours. Damn. As for ghosts and corpses, they would scatter in less than a minute. To think that the captain would remember the code name for the sealed artifact. Damn, I feel that my memory is worse than his. Constantly froze, nearly wanted to hang himself. Jesus. Don Smith leaned back and looked at Klein with his deep grey eyes. You went to the Divination Club again today. Did you feel any changes over the past few days? Oh, because of the digestion, by the way. Okay. 134, it's more than a minute. Yeah, exactly, Merlin. Nobody asked who's Hannibal. So we got the Tenos Egger storyline now with the Wraith, and we're gonna find out that his skull is gone, and you know, obviously we know where the skull is now, right? And yeah, we read 8 chapters today, 126 until 133. That's 8, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna stop the recording here, and thank you for coming, by the way. Very cool chapters so far. We got more from Backland, from Force, from Audrey, Susie talking again, so that was the peak of today. Also, Lucy, I'm gifting 20 super chats. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Beats, for the 5 Malaysian dollars. Thank you so much, and yeah, I will see you next time. We're gonna have like 10 chapters next time. So maybe reaching 150 this week. We'll see. If we reach 150 this week, that means we're gonna be hopefully done with volume 1 at the end of November. We have like 70 chapters after that. Yeah. Bye guys. I love you.